Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling a big one, a goal that, well, it sounds pretty appealing for a lot of people, generating a steady $5,000 of income every single month.
Right. And our mission really is to unpack how you might get there, not just daydreaming, but using a specific source you sent over. An article called Two Alternatives for a Potential $5,000 Monthly Income Without Selling Your Soul or Plasma.
Love that title. It sort of promises real strategies, sustainable ones, moving towards that place where your money's actually working harder than you are.
Exactly. So that's the plan. We'll dig into the two paths the article outlines.
We'll look at the math behind it, and spoiler alert, the numbers are pretty big.
Definitely. And we'll weigh the pros, the cons, the real-world stuff.
Maybe even see how mixing them up could work, a hybrid approach.
And then, a crucial reality check on how passive this passive income really is.
Oh, and we have to talk about taxes. Can't forget those.
Never. All right, let's jump into the first option the article talks about, dividend growth investing.
Okay, so the basic idea here is, well, it seems pretty straightforward, right? You buy shares in companies, and if they're making good profits, they share some of that with you, the shareholder. Dividends.
The article frames it nicely like turning your brokerage account into a kind of cash machine.
But the scale needed, that's the first hurdle to hit $5,000 a month, so $60,000 a year.
Yeah, the article breaks down the math based on dividend yield, which is, the annual dividend per share divided by the share price.
Right. And this is where it gets real fast. If your portfolio has an average yield of 4%, you need $1.5 million invested.
$1.5 million, wow.
Yeah. If you manage to get a slightly higher average yield, say 5%,
okay,
you still need $1.2 million invested.
still a huge number.
And even pushing it to a 6% average yield, which can be tougher to do safely, you need $1 million.
So the article's pretty clear. Getting this income level just from dividends, it takes serious capital up front, not a get-rich-quick thing.
Definitely not. And it's not just about having the money, it's investing it wisely. The article stresses you can't just chase the highest yields out there.
No, that's often a trap. High yield can mean high risk.
Yeah.
You need a quality portfolio, focused on stability, consistent dividend growth.
They give some good categories to look at, like the Dividend Aristocrats.
Ah, yes, the classics.
These are companies that haven't just paid dividends, but have increased them for at least 25 straight years. The article calls them financially responsible grandpas. Think Coca-Cola, Johnson & Johnson.
Procter & Gamble.
Yeah.
That track record says a lot about their stability and commitment to shareholders, even when the economy gets rocky.
Right. Then they mention REITs, real estate investment trusts.
Like Realty Income or Digital Realty Trust, companies owning income-producing properties.
And the key thing there, the article points out, is they have to pay out 90% of their taxable income as dividends by law.
90%. And many pay monthly, which gives you that predictable income stream people like.
Yeah, exactly. And the third category is utilities and infrastructure.
Makes sense. Companies like NextEra Energy or Brookfield Infrastructure, people always need power, water, internet.
So the cash flow tends to be pretty stable, which usually means reliable dividends.
Okay, so summing up the good parts of this dividend approach, according to the article, you get those predictable payouts.
Right, often regular checks, potential tax advantages too, especially in retirement accounts. Qualified dividends get taxed at lower rates, maybe 0% or 15%.
That's a big plus. And these kinds of companies often hold up better in recessions, keep paying dividends.
And of course, the magic of compounding. If you reinvest those dividends, especially early on, it really snowballs.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
But what are the downsides the article highlights?
Well, the big one we keep coming back to, the sheer amount of capital needed. $1 million, $1.5 million. That's just not accessible for everyone starting out.
Absolutely. That's the main barrier, probably. And even if the dividends are steady, your actual portfolio value will still bounce around with the market, right?
Oh, yeah. Market volatility is still a thing. And dividends aren't guaranteed forever. The article mentions GE cutting its dividend a while back as an example. Companies can hit hard times.
Good point. So not totally risk-free.
And it's a long game. Building that kind of portfolio takes decades, usually, not weeks or months.
But the flip side, the lifestyle angle, if you can build it, is maybe escaping that trading hours for dollars grind.
Exactly. Your capital starts doing the heavy lifting, earning for you whether you're actively working or not.
Okay, interesting. Let's pivot then. What's the second alternative the article presents?
Real estate income. Primarily, owning rental properties.
The classic landlord route.
Yeah.
Buy a place, rent it out, collect checks. Simple on the surface.
Simple concept, yeah. But again, the scale matters for that $5,000 a month goal. The article does the math based on cash flow per property.
Right. And they use a figure of maybe $500 a month in positive cash flow after paying everything, the mortgage, taxes, insurance repairs, setting aside money for vacancies.
So after all the bills are paid, if you're netting $500 per unit.
You'd need 10 units to hit $5,000 a month.
10 units. That could be, what, 10 separate houses? Or 5 duplexes, maybe a small apartment building?
Yeah, exactly. It starts to sound like a serious operation.
It does. The article mentions if you're really good, maybe you average $1,000 a month cash flow per door.
Then you'd only need 5 doors. Still a significant portfolio.
So how do you even start this if you don't have, hundreds of thousands for down payments?
The article suggests house hacking as a great entry point.
Ah, right. Where you buy like a duplex or a triplex, live in one unit.
And rent out the others. The rent ideally covers most or maybe even all of your mortgage.
It's a way to get your foot in the door, reduce your own living costs, and like the article says, learn the ropes of being a landlord with lower stakes.
And leverage is key in real estate, which is different from stocks. You use the bank's money.
Yeah. Putting 20% down on, say, a $300,000 property, you control that whole asset with maybe $60,000 of your own cash.
That lets you scale faster than saving up the full purchase price. But you have to be smart about the debt.
Choosing the right location is also huge. The article really emphasizes focusing on markets where the numbers work for cash flow, not just hoping the property value goes up.
Yeah, they suggest looking beyond the expensive coastal cities. Places maybe in the Midwest or Southeast Indiana, Ohio, Alabama are mentioned where purchase prices are lower relative to potential rents.
Finding those markets where rent covers all the costs and still leaves you a decent profit each month.
And you can't do it alone. The article stresses building a reliable team.
Definitely. A good property manager if you don't want to handle day-to-day stuff. An accountant who gets real estate. A reliable handyman.
And the article cheekily adds, maybe a very patient therapist.
Huh? Probably true sometimes.
Okay.
Okay, so the pros of real estate.
Well, it's tangible. You own a physical thing. There are multiple ways to profit cash flow each month, the property potentially appreciating over time.
And the tax advantages. Those are often a big driver for real estate investors.
Huge. The article mentions depreciation, basically. Getting to deduct a portion of the property's value on your taxes each year, even though it's not a real cash expense. It's a phantom expense that lowers your taxable income.
Plus deducting mortgage interest. And they bring up 1031 exchanges.
Ah, the 1031. That's powerful stuff. Lets you sell one investment property and roll the profits into buying another like-kind property.
Without paying capital gains taxes now. You defer the tax hit way down the road. It helps you grow your portfolio faster.
Serious perks. Okay, but it can't all be sunshine and cash flow. What are the cons?
The article sums up the biggest one pretty bluntly. Tenants.
Enough said, right? Managing people living in your property brings, let's say, unique challenges. Vacancies, late rent, damages.
Yeah. And then there's maintenance. The unexpected calls 3 a.m., leaky toilet, furnace breaks in winter. The article mentions dealing with ghosts, probably meaning weird noises or problems.
You're responsible. Plus, costs like property taxes and insurance tend to go up over time, which can eat into your profits.
And getting started still costs money. That down payment, closing costs. The article estimates maybe $30,000 to $60,000 per deal, depending on the market. It's not cheap.
They also give a quick mention to short-term rentals, like the Airbnb road.
Right, the Airbnb hustle. High potential reward, maybe. They crunch numbers like $200 a night. You don't need 25 book nights to hit $5,000 gross.
But high risk, high effort. Constant turnover, managing bookings, cleaning, reviews, dealing with tricky guests, HOA rules, potential parties.
Yeah, sounds way more active than collecting a monthly rent check.
Definitely not passive in the traditional sense.
So we've got these two main paths, dividends and rentals. Both need serious capital, serious effort in different ways. Does the article say you have to pick one?
Nope. It actually talks about a hybrid strategy, combining them.
Ah, okay. How would that work?
Well, you could use the strengths of one to help the other, like taking the cash flow from your rentals.
And using that money to consistently buy dividend stocks.
Exactly. Or maybe you build up a dividend portfolio first, and then use that income to save for down payments on rental properties.
They actually give an example scenario, like maybe you have 5 rental units, each netting $600 a month after expenses. That's $3,000 a month.
Okay.
Plus, you also have, say, $600,000 in dividend stocks yielding 4%. That's another $2,000 a month.
Add them together. $3,000 plus $2,000, there's your $5,000 a month.
So the hybrid approach gives you diversification.
Yeah.
You get the tangible asset and potential appreciation from real estate.
Alongside the generally lower maintenance aspect and liquidity of stocks. If one market is down, maybe the other helps balance things out.
Makes sense. Okay, now for the topic everyone loves to ignore, but shouldn't. Taxes.
Yeah, the article rightly calls this out as the part often conveniently skipped in flashy online success stories.
So crucial. For dividends, we touched on it. Qualified ones get better tax rates, 0%, 15%, maybe 20% federally.
But REIT dividends, or dividends from certain other sources, those are usually non-qualified and taxed at your regular higher income tax rate. So not all dividend income is taxed the same.
Right, and real estate taxes. It's complex, but there are potential benefits.
Definitely. We mentioned depreciation, writing off the building's value over time. That's huge for lowering taxable rental income.
Deducting mortgage interest, property taxes, repairs, insurance, all those expenses.
And the 1031 exchange to defer capital gains when you trade up properties.
The article is super clear, though. This isn't DIY territory for most people. You'll be filing Schedule E for rental income.
Form 4562 for depreciation. It gets complicated fast.
Their advice, get a good CPA. Someone who really understands real estate investors. It's worth the cost.
Absolutely. Don't mess around with the IRS.
Okay, final big reality check from the article. How passive is any of this, really?
Yeah, it kind of pokes a hole in that whole passive income dream, or at least qualifies it heavily.
For real estate, unless you've hired a great property manager to handle literally everything.
The article calls it active as hell.
Huh. Yeah, finding deals, financing, screening tenants, handling issues, overseeing repairs. That takes time and effort. It's a business.
For sure. Dividend investing is definitely closer to passive, relatively speaking. No 3 a.m. tenant calls.
True. But it's not zero effort either. You still need to do the research up front to pick good investment.
Right. And monitor your portfolio, decide when to buy or sell, manage diversification, rebalance.
And importantly, have the discipline to stick with your strategy, especially when the market gets choppy. Don't panic sell.
So the bottom line from the article seems to be, this isn't magic money.
Not at all. It's attainable money, as they put it, but both paths demand significant capital, discipline, consistency over time, and patience. You have to build the income machine.
And keep it running, yeah. It's work, just a different kind of work, perhaps.
So reflecting on this whole article, what really stands out to you?
I think it's the stark contrast in the type of work involved.
Yeah.
Dividends are more analytical, portfolio management. Real estate is very operational, dealing with properties and people.
Yeah, very different skill sets, almost.
And the capital requirements for both are just significant. It really underscores that hitting $5,000 a month through these established methods isn't a quick hack. It's a serious long-term commitment.
The article really nails that core message. Time, not timing, is your friend. Consistency is everything. Starting small, maybe, but being consistent. Reinvesting your returns, whether they're dividends or rental income.
Thinking in decades, not days or weeks. Building that momentum slowly but surely.
Yeah, every dollar reinvested, every smart property purchase, it adds up, it compounds. That's how you grow the income stream over the long haul.
And the article connects it back to the why. The goal isn't just the number, the $5,000 itself.
Right, it's what that income represents. The freedom, options, security.
They had that funny line about finally being able to buy guac without checking your bank account first. Huh. A worthy goal indeed. Financial peace of mind, really.
Definitely. So thinking about everything we've discussed, the capital, the time, the effort involved in both dividend investing and real estate, as laid out here, it makes me wonder, and maybe something for you, the listener, to think about too. What other, perhaps less conventional strategies might be out there? Strategies that maybe require less capital up front, but could still offer potential for meaningful income growth over time. Just a final thought to chew on as you consider your own path.